CBS 13 News is on your side at 6.
We did identify human remains in one of the survival suits.
When that ship went down, I guarantee you she went down fighting for everything that child's got.
Mainers missing at sea. A cargo ship sinks. The search for survivors continues, and it grows more desperate with each passing hour.
The El Faro's crew is comprised of 33 people, 4 of them from Maine. They are ship's captain Michael Davidson, plus crew members Danielle Randolph, Michael Holland, and Dylan Mecklin.
Tonight, CBS 13 has team coverage from Miami, Florida to Castine, Maine. Our reporters are with friends and families holding on to hope right now that their loved ones will be found alive. From those communities to the training these mariners received and a close-up look at the survival suits meant to protect them in the water. We are covering every single angle.
We begin now with CBS 13's John Chrysos, who is with crew family members in Jacksonville, Florida, where they are praying for a miracle. John?
Tonight, those families are praying for a miracle. They're also praying for a reunion. The Coast Guard saying it is hopeful that search teams will find survivors, and families here in Jacksonville tonight say they aren't giving up either.
Danielle loves her Patriots.
Clinging to pictures and memories.
We made it to a football game last year.
Mom Lori Bobbio says this is what's keeping her going, while her 34-year-old daughter, Danielle Randolph, is lost at sea.
We had such a good time, and this will go down forever. She had a good time.
Now Bobbio says she's praying for a different kind of win, a story of survival for the crew of the El Faro, missing for more than 100 hours.
We got to stay positive. We'll have more games. We'll have more games.
Bobbio is waiting and wondering with another mother from Maine, Deb Roberts. Roberts' 25-year-old son, Mike Holland, was also on the ship when it started taking on water.
It's an emotional roller coaster, but I'm trying to stay strong and stay positive.
This morning, this difficult journey took a new twist. The Coast Guard telling the families it believes the ship sank in 15,000 feet of water.
Danielle is a very strong girl. She will not get, I'm telling you, when that ship went down, I guarantee you she went down fighting for everything that child's got.
With the news this morning, it's becoming more and more difficult to be hopeful, but we are hopeful. We continue to pray. Miracles happen every day.
Roberts also holds onto a picture of her son and hope that maybe, just maybe, Michael will get that miracle.
I feel like maybe Michael can feel me with the positive energy. I talk to him a lot, telling him to come home.
And these families are standing by the company, Toad Maritime, and also the captain. They say only the weather in this situation is to blame. Those families, many of them have been flying into Jacksonville, more arriving today. They are all expected to gather once again tonight at 7 o'clock for an update from the company and the Coast Guard. We are live tonight in Jacksonville, Florida. John Chrysos, CBS 13 News.
All right, John, live in Florida. Thank you, John.
People in Rockland are gathering for a vigil. Among them will be those who know and love Dylan Mecklin and Danielle Randolph. CBS 13's Marissa Bodner spoke with some of their friends and former teachers. And Marissa, what did you learn?
Kim, we've learned a lot today about Dylan and Danielle. Right now, the Rockland community is out in force. This vigil is underway. Many say it's desperately needed. This is a small maritime community. Everybody knows the risks of careers out at sea. Tonight, they're hoping for a miracle.
Sorrow, really hurt, and still feel that.
Paul DeSaunier is watching and waiting as the U.S. Coast Guard searches for 2 of his former students, now missing at sea.
It gets hard because you see these youngsters, and you care about them.
It was a somber start to the week at the high school in Rockland, where Dylan Mecklin graduated in 2010 and Danielle Randolph in 2000.
The name rang a bell, and I remember her in chemistry class.
According to the class yearbook, Danielle played tennis and was part of the Adventure Club. She went on to the Maine Maritime Academy and hoped to become a deck officer on a ship. Dylan listed similar plans for his future.
Wonderful personality, and it was a big personality, and you liked him.
Gentry Birch was a classmate.
Really one of the nicest people you'll ever meet.
Many remember the 23-year-old as a standout athlete, especially on the basketball court.
Voted most likely to appear on ESPN. Everybody, figured, he was going to do these great athletic things. Dylan knew that I have other goals.
Dylan and Danielle both accomplishing the goals they set as teenagers in this small town.
It's a reality, but we're extraordinarily proud of them for what they achieve and what they do every day.
Just really hoping and praying can have a good outcome from this and hoping he comes home.
A lot of hope that they will come home. Dylan's family organizes candlelight vigil. Again, you can see a huge turnout tonight. His aunts were speaking a little bit earlier. They talked about how this was his first experience out on a ship. They're hoping to send a strong message to both crew members' immediate family members who are right now waiting for updates in Florida.
We just want them to be able to know that the whole community is coming together and that we all love them, and just hoping for the best. We have not given up.
We will bring you more on tonight's vigil, and you can hear more from Dylan's family members coming up tonight on CBS 13 News at 11. For now, live in Rockland, Marissa Bodner, CBS 13 News. Back to you.
All right, a lot of love and support coming from Rockland tonight. Thank you, Marissa.
We also want to show you this map. It shows the path El Faro was taking as it was leaving Jacksonville, Florida, en route to San Juan, Puerto Rico. Here you can see the ship's last known position on Thursday, heading southeast near the Bahamas. You can see just how dangerously close that ship was to Hurricane Joaquin when two things went very wrong. The hurricane intensified and sort of swung toward them, and the ship also lost power and propulsion at the time. Winds in the area were sustained at more than 140 miles an hour. Seas were topping 50 feet, a horrific situation. Right now, a much weaker Joaquin is northeast of Bermuda, while the Coast Guard search continues off of the Bahamas. We're bringing in Chief Meteorologist Charlie Lopresti. And the searchers there, Charlie, caught a bit of a break finally over the weekend. Yeah. The weather eased a bit. What are the conditions like right now for those searchers off the Bahamas?
Well, it's only going to get better over the next 24 hours. That's good news. As you mentioned, the storm is north of Bermuda by about 200 miles. Here's some of the wind gusts. A lot of the buoys are reporting gusts between 20 and 35 miles per hour. Notice one in the northern Bahamas there, right around 34 miles per hour. Now, wave heights, this is important. Near Bermuda, still close to 15 feet, but the wave heights are generally 5 to 10 feet closer to Bermuda. Now, it looks like a lot of the buoys may actually have been wiped out in the Bermuda area there. So notice how there is a little bit of a hole near, I should say, in the Bahamas area, I should say. There's not a ton of buoy reports coming from that region. This is important as well. Water temperatures in the Gulf of Maine right now are in the mid-50s. Now, if someone falls overboard or if they're trying to survive in ocean water temperature in the mid-80s, like down towards the Bahamas, you could survive a lot longer, of course, in warmer temperatures like that than areas like in the Gulf of Maine, where it's quite a bit cooler right now. So bottom line here, the weather conditions will improve in the coming days in the search area, and that storm continues to race northeast, and it will not affect us. We'll see higher sea swells of about 5 to 7 feet through Tuesday morning.
But that's about it for us.
That's it. Surfers will be happy. Dangerous rip currents are possible, though, as well.
All right, Charlie, thanks. Well, coming up next, a school filled with both concern and hope.
What students at Maine Maritime Academy are saying about the exact training the 4 Mainers on board El Faro received.
The captain is always in charge of the vessel.
We also talked to someone who worked with the captain of the El Faro during his days here on Casco Bay, what he says about the type of captain he is.
This is CBS 13 News at 6.
The first blizzard of 2015 is bringing heavy snow and wind to Maine right now, causing hundreds of school and business closures and creating treacherous travel on Maine's roadways.
Taking a live look at the radar, you can still see that this massive system is bringing more snow to areas that already have more than 20 inches in some spots on the ground. Our team of reporters is spread out throughout the state, ready to bring you the very latest information from your area, from the highways to the coast. We have you covered.
Meteorologists Craig Miller and Charlie Lopresti are tracking the latest changes to the storm's track and how much more snow you should expect in your backyard. So let's get right to Craig, who is standing by outside live on the CBS 13 weather deck with Greg Lagerquist.
Yeah, you know, guys, I mean, we're standing out here and you can still see it is snowing.
Now, CBS 13 News is on your side at 6.
As his wife said, it takes a lot more than this to knock his spirits down.
President George H.W. Bush is hospitalized with a broken neck. We will have more on his current condition and what doctors are saying about it in just a moment.
But first, we want to get to some breaking news that is happening right now in Gardner. You were looking live at the scene of a fire at a large apartment building in the downtown area. CBS 13 has a crew on the scene. We will have a full live report within minutes.
And in the meantime, an arrest is made in the shooting death of a Westbrook teenager in Portland. Trey Arsenault died after he was shot at the Block Recording Studios on 4th Street back in May.
And tonight, 20-year-old Johnny Ouch of Westbrook is under arrest and facing several charges in connection to that shooting. CBS 13's Maria Balvanis is live from the Portland Police Department. And Maria, police say this investigation is still ongoing, but they won't say whether there are any other suspects.
Yeah, well, police say the investigation is still ongoing, but they're declining to comment on whether they're actively looking for possible other suspects. Now, as you mentioned, 20-year-old Johnny Ouch was arrested around 11 o'clock this morning in Westbrook by U.S. Marshals. He was charged with murder and elevated aggravated assault. Those charges stem from the double shooting at the Block Studios on 4th Street back in May. Police say Ouch shot and killed 19-year-old Trey Arsenault and injured another man. Originally, police believed 2 people were involved in the shooting. Today, they shed little light on possible other suspects.
We run this information through the Attorney General's office and others. The indictment for this particular incident has been sealed. So because of that, I won't be releasing a lot of additional information at this point.
Now, as the investigation continues, Ouch was brought to Cumberland County Jail. He's being held there without bail. I spoke with the mother of Trey Arsenault on the phone briefly earlier tonight. She says this is obviously a very emotional time for her family. She was on her way to be with her younger son during this difficult time. Live in Portland tonight, Maria Balvanis for CBS 13 News. Back to you.
Maria, thank you very much. Former President George H.W. Bush is expected to make a full recovery after falling and breaking a bone in his neck. That is a word tonight from doctors treating him at May Medical Center. CBS 13's Marissa Bodner spoke with him this afternoon and joins us now live with the latest on his condition. Marissa.
Well, Adrian, we're told this is a serious but common injury, especially among older people. Doctors say Bush Sr. is up talking. He's out of bed, surrounded by family, and starting what's expected to be a months-long recovery.
Tough guy. I'm impressed.
Neurosurgeon William DeAngelo is treating George H.W. Bush for a broken bone in his neck, right at the base of the skull.
It is a significant injury, but right now, the president is in excellent shape, and we would anticipate that he would make a full recovery from it.
It happened Wednesday morning when Bush fell at the family's Kennebunkport compound, 30 minutes south of where he's hospitalized. Bush has a form of Parkinson's disease which can impact stability, but doctors won't say if that was a factor.
As we all get older, we are more susceptible to an injury like this. This is a common thing in seniors.
DeAngelo says they plan to let the injury heal on its own without surgery.
It usually takes 3 to 4 months for this type of fracture to heal.
At 91, Bush is the oldest living former U.S. president, and an adventurous one at that. Last year, he celebrated his 90th birthday by jumping out of a plane. Now doctors say his daughter Doro and wife Barbara are by his side.
As his wife said, it takes a lot more than this to knock his spirits down. After being shot down over the Pacific in World War II, she said, this is a small bump in the road.
And Bush will stay here at Maine Medical Center to be fitted for a neck brace and also continue physical therapy. No timeline on how long that will take or when he'll be discharged. At this point, doctors will only say that this stay in the hospital is not expected to be a long one. Live in Portland, Marissa Bodner, CBS 13 News. Back to you.
We do wish him a speedy recovery. Marissa, thank you.
All the best to him. Meanwhile, this is not the first time the former president, though, has been hospitalized. Back in 2012, he was in the hospital for several months after getting bronchitis. And then in 2014, he was hospitalized for nearly a week after suffering from some shortness of breath.
Back to that breaking news now from Gardner, where fire is burning a large apartment building right in the downtown area. CBS 13's Katie Sampson joins us now live from the scene with the latest on that. Katie, what do we know at this point?
Well, we've been here for about an hour now. We still have not had a chance to talk to fire officials about what caused this, if there were any injuries, because they're still very busy. If you take a look, a lot of the focus has been on that red brick building where you can see the water hitting it right now. We have seen smoke pouring from the roof and the windows from that building since we arrived here, really. This is the back of the building, as you can see. And we've also seen them focusing on 3 of the other buildings. If you look to the right, the white, the red, and the blue. So it appears as though this fire may have spread to those buildings. We're obviously still seeing that smoke coming through. At one point, we could also see flames through the windows. I've also counted about 7 fire trucks here. Looks as though there are 3 of them actively working here right now, getting water on these buildings. People in the area tell us this area is a combination of apartments and businesses. I spoke with one person who owns a tattoo shop. He says that it's in 2 of the buildings here that appear to have been affected. He said he was in the middle of doing a tattoo when he heard people screaming that there was a fire. He could smell the smoke and he could smell burning plastic. He rushed to gather what he could. He says he ran out. He was able to make it out safely, but he says he just opened up shop here about a week ago. He says it's very frustrating to have this happen. We again have not been able to talk to fire officials about what caused this. If there have been any injuries, we have not seen anyone being brought into an ambulance, but we do plan to try to get as much information as we can when this winds down and once firefighters can get this under control. But as you can see, still a very active situation here on Water Street here in Gardner. We're live in Gardner. Katie Sampson for CBS 13 News. Back to you.
Katie, thank you very much. We'll be checking back with you throughout the evening. A couple robbed at gunpoint right outside of a Portland restaurant. Police say it happened last night in the parking lot at Tortilla Flat on Forest Avenue around 10:30. The suspects allegedly demanded money and stole a purse and a phone. Police say the suspects were 2 males wearing dark hoodies at the time. If you think you know anything about this crime, Portland police would really like to hear from you.
Lanes are back open on the turnpike after a tractor-trailer caught fire in Falmouth. Officials tell CBS 13 that big rig carrying coal ash caught fire just before 9. Authorities shut down the turnpike in both directions during the morning commute, backing up traffic. Firefighters say a construction crew helped them get to the scene quickly through that heavy traffic.
The construction crew did a great job. They opened up the right-hand lane for us where they were working and allowed us to get our apparatus up through and put the fire out.
Officials say overheated brakes likely caused that fire. All right, thanks so much.
Back to that breaking news from Gardner now, where fire is burning a large apartment building downtown. CBS 13's Katie Sampson joins us now live from the scene with the latest. Katie, I understand you just spoke with a witness.
That's right. So a lot of people really upset. We're told that this area behind me is actually a combination of apartments and businesses. If you take a look, you can see smoke still coming from at least that red brick building right there. We've also seen some firefighters trying to break through some of the windows here. It appears as though the fire spread to at least 3 other buildings in addition to that red brick one you see them tackling there right now. Now, we spoke with a business owner who says his tattoo shop is in 2 of those buildings to the right. He says he's very frustrated to see his building on fire.
I've put everything I have into this shop. It's a 3,000 square foot shop. You know, I've got 15 grand in supplies that are gone and priceless artwork, and you know, it's very frustrating to watch it all burn.
Still, obviously, a lot of questions about how this fire started, if there were any injuries. We don't have that information right now because crews obviously are still very busy. We hope to speak with fire officials as soon as possible. As soon as we get that information, we'll bring it right to you. Live in Gardner, Katie Sampson, CBS 13 News. Back to you.
And Katie, we'll be checking back with you on Fox 23 News at 6:30 for more information. Katie, thanks.
We are following more breaking news, this out of Colorado, where the verdict is in the movie theater massacre in Aurora. James Holmes has been found guilty in the July 2012 shooting that killed 12 people.
Now, CBS 13 News is on your side at 6.
people who were part of the circus just yelled run. Next thing you know, the tent's coming up and over.
A father and his little girl are dead, killed in a circus disaster in Lancaster, New Hampshire.
Right now, investigators are piecing together exactly what happened. CBS 13 has crews standing by live right now.
But first, a dangerous situation happening in Maine right now. Severe weather is moving through our area. We've had reports of hail, some of it larger than golf ball size in York County, with smaller pea and marble-sized hail filling flower boxes in western Maine.
Now, this video just in shows the hail coming down right outside the CBS 13 studios just moments ago. Lexi O'Connor is standing by live right now, tracking the storms. And Lexi, who's at the greatest risk of severe weather right now?
Well, right now there is still a severe thunderstorm warning in effect until 6:30 for parts of Cumberland and also York County. We'll take a closer look at exactly what these storms are bringing coming up in just a little bit. For now, Kim, Greg, I'll send it back to you.
Thank you, Lexi. Back to New Hampshire now, where a father and his 8-year-old daughter are dead. Dozens more injured after a severe storm brings down a circus tent.
This happened in Lancaster. This is a small town in northern New Hampshire in Coos County. And that's where we find the CBS 13 crew standing by live right now.
We have team coverage, including how trapped victims were able to escape, plus the warnings issued just before this happened. We begin with Katie Sampson, who is learning more about those who died. Katie?
The fire marshal says 41-year-old Robert Young of Concord, Vermont, and his young daughter Annabelle died in this tent collapse. Now investigators are trying to figure out just how much this company knew about the impending storm.
Now, CBS 13 News is on your side at 6.
Happening right now, crews work to control a major fire at a motel in Rumford. A live report in moments.
But first, Johar Tsarnaev, the terrorist who killed and injured people for his own perverse reasons at the Boston Marathon finish line 2 years ago, learned today he'll be put to death for that.
Today, survivors and family members are talking about what this decision means to them.
Right now, it feels like we can take a breath and kind of actually breathe again. Once the verdict came in, it was like, okay, now we can start from here and go forward.
I have to watch my 2 sons put a leg on every day, so I mean, I don't know closure, but I can tell you it feels like a weight has been lifted off my shoulders, so I think there is some form of a good feeling.
CBS 13 has team coverage tonight, including reaction from Mainers who were at the marathon the day of the bombing.
First, let's go ahead and head to Boston, where Marissa Bodner was in the courtroom as the death sentence was read.
Johar Tsarnaev showed no emotion, keeping his head down and his hands folded as he was sentenced to death, a decision reached by jurors in just over 14 hours. They unanimously agreed to death for 5 of the 17 possible capital counts. They all involved the specific bomb placed on Boylston Street by Johar Tsarnaev, the one that killed Lindsay Liu and 8-year-old Martin Richard. Over the past 3 days, jurors have had to sort through and consider dozens of aggravating factors, such as the cruelty of this crime, the killing of a child, and Tsarnaev's lack of remorse. They also had to weigh mitigating factors, what the defense has described as a dysfunctional family life, but it's clear the jury overwhelmingly did not buy that narrative, or that Tsarnaev was simply acting under the influence of his older brother, who was killed in a shootout with police. No doubt there's a long road of appeals ahead. This sentence will be formally imposed by the judge at a later date, and that's when victims and survivors of this bombing will get the chance to speak. In Boston, Marissa Bodner, CBS 13 News.
Several Mainers were at the race in 2013, including one man that ran toward the devastation to help victims. CBS 13 Maria Valvanis is live now with some local reaction. Maria?
Well, Kim, certainly a lot of mixed reaction and emotions as the news continues to settle in. But the one thing that everyone I've spoken to seems to agree on is that they just want what's best for the victims. Now, Tsarnaev was sentenced to death around 3:30 this afternoon. We've spoken to several Mainers that were at the marathon in 2013. John Mixon was standing at the finish line when the bombs went off. He saw the devastation firsthand and broke down barricades to get to victims and help them. Take a listen to what he had to say about the ruling.
Life in prison can't be that much fun, you know, especially a maximum security prison. So is that what I wanted? Well, you know, I guess I want what the people want, and the people wanted justice, and that's what they got.
The only opinion that matters in that regard are the people that deliberated on the sentencing. I really believe that it's just good that the victims get some closure, and that we try to learn more about why this happened.
Now, a lot of people are hopeful that there won't be too long of an appeal process, so again, the victims can get some closure and move forward. We'll have much more reaction from Mainers and survivors coming up later tonight. For now, live in Portland, Maria Valdenas, CBS 13 News, back to you.
All right, Maria, thank you.
Well, happening right now, fire crews working to get a motel fire under control in Rumford. This one happening at the Linnell Motel located along Route 2 there in Rumford. And that's where we find CBS 13's Jennifer Long live at what has been a very tough fire to put out tonight, Jen.
Well, Greg, we're on the backside of Linnell Motel right now. As you can see, this is where a majority of the damage is. This is a 2-story hallway in the back of the building, and fire crews say this probably is where the fire broke out today. As you can see, a majority of the damage is back in this area. Firefighters have been fighting this fire all afternoon since it broke out at around 2 o'clock today. When firefighters got here, they were met with heavy flames as well as smoke that you can see in this picture we received from a viewer. Fire crews have been working on the fire, but they've also been working on trying to account for everyone that was staying in this building. A lot of people that were here were working at the mill. They were from out of state. And so right now, fire crews are still trying to determine where everyone is and make sure that they are okay and that they're safe. The fire chief tells me they were able to contain the fire to the back part of this building.
We were able to stop it there. So the top of the T here, these 2 sections are relatively unaffected, much minor damage, but that first part of the T is a total loss.
Now, we did speak to a few guys who are staying in this motel. They weren't here when the fire broke out, but they came back to find this. They're now wondering exactly where they're going to be staying, considering their job here is going to last another week and a half at the mill. We will hear much more from those guys and their story coming up at 6:30 on Fox 23. For now, we're live in Rumford. Jennifer Long, CBS 13 News. Back to you.
So much damage, Jen. We're glad that they're okay.
Investigators are trying to figure out what caused a large house fire in Scarborough. It happened on Beaver Brook Road. CBS 13's Katie Sampson tells us why this was especially challenging for firefighters to put out.
The call came in around 10:30 this morning, and even several hours later, firefighters were still putting out hot spots. Before they got on the scene, it was neighbors who rushed to help.